Yep, it says so. Because it says so. Okay, anyway, welcome everybody. We are live. I had some trouble getting the orientation to stick on there. It kept going back. And I really don't want to do the vertical live stream because you really can't see the comments. So, anyway, you guys give me a minute here, just a second for me to pull something up. I'll put some copyright free music on. Give me just a minute. Make sure this is going on YouTube. Well, hey, Grace. Boy, you came in fast. All right, listen to some copy free music for a second. I got to go into my settings. This is the first song that comes up on copyright. All right. Let me see here. Just a second. Hey, Florida Life in the Sun. YouTube plans to set. Yeah, I don't know. If they don't, oh well. All right, make sure I am doing horizontal, right? Let's see here. I didn't even get a title on here. I got to learn how to do this. I got to learn how to do this on my laptop. All right, anyway. Well, welcome. Florida Life in the Sun. That sounds pretty good. We had a cloudy day today. Kind of cloudy and cool. Not in a good way. Not in a cool way. Anyway, welcome. We're gonna go over a few things tonight. I didn't even put a title up or nothing. I'm trying to edit it right now as I'm speaking. Anyway, welcome. We're gonna go over a few things. First, I'm gonna cover a few. We're gonna cover just a touch on a few news stories, and then I'm going to show you real quick what is in the Bible. Just overview. It's going to be a crash course for anybody who really doesn't know the Bible. I'm going to quickly just break it down so it's real easy for anybody, especially beginners, obviously. Am I live? Okay, it says public. All right, let me put a title on here. Hey, Miss January, how you doing tonight? Excuse me. All right, let me put a title on here real quick. Well, hey, champ, how you doing tonight? You're the champ, so I'm sure you're doing well. Anyway, good to see you tonight. All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about a few things. I put up 2 videos, and last night, or actually early this morning, I should say. And I'm going to pop a title on here. Well, I guess I don't even need a title. Screw it. Yes, we are all champs, aren't we? All right. There you go. I'll put a title on after I'm done. So I'm just going to make sure I'm pull this up so I can see it. Anyway, yeah, and I went to the flea market on Wednesday. They just opened in April. They have it every Wednesday. You gotta get there early though. I used to do flea markets, and I still did after I was widowed for maybe a year. And it just by yourself, it's really hard. But anyway, so I know what it is. And I've actually done a flea market at that place. And Anyway, it was fun. I know some of the people there, and it's just fun. Yeah, it's fun looking through everybody's stuff. Not that I need anything, but I like looking, and I like the bowls that I got. But anyway, they just started up for the year, so but you got to get there early. I mean, when we used to do flea markets, we'd get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and some of them were an hour drive or hour and a half drive. We'd have to leave at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to get there, and but you got to get there early, and everybody's wearing like these helmets with or these things on their like flashlights on their head, like a coal miner, and they're just as soon as you park, they look through your stuff. Anyway, so it starts real early. I think it starts probably at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know. It starts at the crack of dawn. And then it's over at noon. By the time, so you gotta get there early. If you get there 11:30, people are packing up ready to go. You know what I mean? They've been there since 5 in the morning. So anyway, there it is. I got it now. And there's my chat. I could only see one comment at a time before. So anyway, it's fun. We got there early. I went with a friend of mine, and we got there early. Oh yeah, and yeah. Anyway, so let me look in the chat, see who we have here. Grace comes in as the moderator. She comes in first. My longtime friend. Let's see. It finally rained here. We've had wildfires. Oh, that's the problem. Yeah, when you don't get rain. Well, here, April showers brings May flowers. I'm not sure if that's across the board in every state, but that's Minnesota. So we like it when everything goes from brown to green real quick. But anyway, I'm glad you got some rain, and I'm sure the grass and the plants and all that stuff likes it. Anyway, so hello to Grace, Florida Life in the Sun, Ms. January, Champ. Let me go down here. I'm trying not to miss anybody. I am doing well. I'm doing awesome. Awesome stuff. So yeah, well, for anybody beginners, I'm going to show you real quick what's in the Bible. I'm going to break it down. We'll go over a few. I'm going to go over a few stories first that are in the news. Like I said, I did videos on two things: the Darrow Sheets and Elijah Allman, Cher's son. And Cher just found out that she's a grandma. She just found out she's got a 15-year-old granddaughter. It's funny because maybe a year or two ago, somebody asked her, "Hey, what do you think about being a grandma someday?" And she said, "Oh, I wish I had a grandchild." Little did she know she's had one since 2010, and the granddaughter just met Cher last summer. And we know about it now in the last few days because of this court stuff that Elijah has gotten himself into some hot water. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when you're out of your mind. It tends to happen. Yeah, suddenly everything is green. I love it. I gotta get my rototiller out there and bust up them garden boxes and start the new season. I'm so excited. I love being outside. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go over. So yeah, I did the Elijah story. he was put in a psychiatric hospital. So Cher tried to get a hold of his money again. His dad, Greg Allman, died in 2017, and so he's got this trust fund where he gets money every 3 months, quarterly. And in my head, I mean, I ain't rich or nothing, but I'm thinking to myself, well, so Cher tried to get a hold of his money, get control over it, because she said he went through $1 million of his inheritance in 6 years. And I broke that down, and I think it was $166,000 a year. And if you live in Southern California, I don't think that's a lot to go through in a year. I don't. What do I know? Anyway, so she didn't get that either time, but she did find out she's got a granddaughter. So anyway, I'm excited for them. Elijah doesn't want to be a parent, so there's a different man raising her husband has raised the child. They're fine, and now she has Cher for her grandma. So I think that was kind of cool. And then Daryl Sheets, that's an interesting case. Daryl Sheets was on Storage Wars, if you guys remember that. Um, he was called the Gambler, and for gambling on certain units or whatever. But so he died on Tuesday. They found him 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, which is just bizarre. Um, and the police are saying, looks like self-inflicted, death. So, in my video, I said it appears to be because it seems very suspicious. Listen to you guys. If last month in March I posted two posts and both of them said that people are out to get me. Here's their names. Here's their online handle. Here's her name and his name or whatever. Here's everybody's names. And if anything happens to me, these are the people that did it. And then 2 days later, last month, I posted another one saying, you guys, if anything happens to me, these are the people that did it. And then I end up, something happening to me. I don't know. Why wouldn't we be suspicious? Anyway, and so TMZ's got that picture the day before, just hours before they found him on Tuesday. And whenever I see TMZ, the hair stands up on the back of my neck because, they want you to think it stands for 10 mile zone. No, it stands for the murder zone. So whenever you see TMZ first on the scene or the last photo of the person, that's creepy to me. If you know, and if you don't, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, so anyway, I hope they look into that because it seems suspicious to me that you have people out to get you and all this other stuff, and then that happens. Anyway, and then there's another story. Yeah, TMZ, okay. It's actually stands for the murder zone. I just think about it. Anytime you see TMZ, they're always the last. Oh, look, we got a photo right before, hours before they died. And Daryl seemed happy. Anyway. And then the other story I was watching, but I really haven't said anything because sometimes I just break down crying. It's a little girl that the FedEx guy kidnapped and unalived her. So that's a really sad story. But the good news about that story. Now this happened a couple years ago. You guys probably know. You guys probably know or heard of the FedEx driver that kidnapped a little girl. This happened a few years ago, and it was in December. And a FedEx guy was delivering the little girl some Barbie dolls, and which ironically was a set of like 6 of them or something. It was a package and said, "You can be anything." And then they had all these occupations, different Barbies, different occupations. But anyway, he ends up kidnapping her and all that stuff. And the evidence was just so strong. But anyway, so they started trial. And the parents and everybody had to prepare, the prosecutor, the court. I mean, this has been a few years of preparation. And, so everybody's ready and the trial starts. And this Tanner dude, the guy that the accused, he just calls off. He just says, stop. He basically, I don't know, him and his lawyer decided, we're not going to go through the trial. I mean, after all that, and then the trial starts, they ended it and said, he's just going to go ahead and plead guilty because I'm sure it's going to be embarrassing for him when all this stuff comes out, and his mom. And so they went straight to the, so that was good. Okay. The parents don't have to sit through a trial, right? Or anybody else that loved that little girl. And it's really hard to watch when it has to do with kids. But anyway, so they went straight to the sentencing phase. And this is in Texas. And they said 2 counties. It's the county that they're in right now. I can't remember. But there's also Harris County. And they said that Harris County and this other county that they're in right now are the 2 highest counties in Texas that recommend the death penalty, so he might get the death penalty. But anyway, the family was spared the trial. They're going through the sentencing phase. Of course, they had his fifth grade teacher on there, saying she had him a little bit in fifth grade, kind of remembers, and that's about, I don't know. None of us are the same as we were in fifth grade, so I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, so right now they're trying to mitigate, you know, take some of the maybe lower some of the punishment or something. I don't know, but anyway, so we should be hearing the verdict on that. He'll probably get the death penalty, but he also probably, what does it matter? Because he's probably not going to last very long in prison. You know what I'm saying? They don't take too kindly to people like him, and it'll be an honor for somebody. Somebody will feel like it's an honor to get rid of this guy. You know what I'm saying? So, death penalty or not, I don't think he's gonna. Probably won't make it to the chair. I don't know. Does Texas have a chair? No, I don't know. A lot of them, like Florida, that DeSantis is really cleaning out. He's done more executions down there. But so the people that were selling, I just saw this weird thing. I don't remember. I think it was Oklahoma, some state that can't get their hands on that lethal injection medication anymore. Came up with an invention, the mask. So I saw a guy get put the death penalty wearing a mask, and they strapped the mask on this guy and they gassed him up. You know what I mean? Because the companies that make these medications for lethal injection don't want it used for that. And so in their conscience, they will no longer sell that medication. So they're going back to the chair, they're going back to the gallows, they're going back to firing squads. But because the company just doesn't want people using that drug for that. It's for other things. But they don't want to sell it for that. So they won't sell it to the, well, hey Molly, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Yeah, yeah. They have 2 this month. Yeah, he's sweeping house. Some of these people have been on death row for like 50 years. And that's a long time. Anyway, so yeah, so that's happening. Tanner's gonna probably get his sentence handed down soon. They skipped a trial, thank God. But anyway, it's been very hard. Yeah, Athena. I just started crying so hard the other day when I just couldn't even watch it anymore. Gosh, I can't even think about it. That's why I just don't even want to cover kids. I really have to detach myself mentally because it so breaks my heart. I can't even talk about it. It works like yeast and bread melatonin. All right. You should put some butter on that. Well, all right, Infamous. I'm glad that we saw you tonight. I know it's late where you are. She's in another part of the world where it is very late right now. But she's our fellow night owl. We're used to staying up all night. Well, hey T bro, good to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you too. Thank you. So yeah, I'm gonna go over because I know there's a lot of people who have never even cracked open your Bible, and I didn't either. I went. Well, how old was I? I don't know. Late 40s before I opened up a Bible. Now I grew up in a church and we were Lutheran and we had to do the Bible study and I had to do Sunday school every week. I grew up with that. I grew up in junior high. We had to do confirmation every Wednesday till we confirmed. And but I really didn't learn anything, let's be honest. And then my kids went. I made my kids go to same thing, Sunday school. And then I had to drive them to confirmation every week. And for 3 years, each of them. And they didn't really learn anything either. So you can go to church, you can do all that stuff and still not know your Bible. I never knew it. And when I opened it, I thought, oh man, this is the word of God. And I'm going to show everybody how true this word is. And I don't know, after a few years of, extreme studying it every day, it started to unravel. But it takes a lot. There's no shortcuts. I had to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and 2,500 live streams in a row every night for 2,500 2,000 nights in a row or whatever. And so there's no shortcuts. It's you got to take a lot of time to learn it, and a lot of people don't have the time. I didn't have the time. I raised kids. I worked full time plus a part time job. I always had a full time and a part time. Who has time for that? But I'm going to make it easy so you'll know when we get done here. You're going to know what's in the Bible. You can pick what you want to or what you want to study. But I will make it easy for you. And then the thing about the Trump thing, you guys don't. Oh my goodness, shut the TV off, okay? They're gaslighting you. Don't worry. He's, I mean, listen. They own, I'm not even going to get into it. But don't worry about this stuff. Turn the TV off. It's never going to help you. You're being gaslit. Just say that. Right before that dinner, before the shooting last night, the reporter said, "Oh, it's going to get crazy tonight. There's going to be shots fired." I mean, they mock you right to your face. And people think, "Oh, that's a coincidence." No, they're mocking you, gaslighting you. The world is a stage, folks. And remember, the government owns every TV and radio station that you're watching. Think about that. They bought them all up in the early 90s. A good example is I always watch those murder stories, the true crime. And there was a woman named Celeste Beard, and her husband, she married this old guy. She was a waitress, an old multimillionaire. Because the guy made this TV station from the ground up. And well, I'm telling you, early 90s, the government went around, paid everybody so much money, made them an offer they can't refuse. So they own every radio station. You're being played, folks. That's how he got all his multi-millions. Somebody came in and offered him so much money he couldn't refuse. But yeah, then you got the Propaganda Act that says that it's Obama passed it and signed it. I think it was during the Super Bowl. But anyway, that's a law that they can lie to you if they feel it's necessary. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about none of that. And remember, the director of the CIA says, "We know." Here, let me get this right. He says something like, we'll know our mission is complete when everybody believes what they see on TV is true. Who was that, Casey? Or who was the? Let me see. So yeah, the world is a stage, folks. Turn it on. We will know our mission's complete when people believe everything they see on TV.
The quote, "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false," is often linked to William J. Casey, the CIA director from 1981 to 1987.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there was Hitler and Stalin or whoever it was, these dictators, these people that say if you want to mislead everybody, make a lie, make it big, and keep repeating it. Eventually, everybody will believe it. So anyway, yeah, I would just turn that TV off. And listen, I haven't had a TV in maybe 11 years now. I don't even know. Man, I stopped watching before that. I used to think people that didn't have TVs were weirdos. Well, no, they're smart because yeah, it's called programming for a reason. Okay, back to our regular scheduled programming. They're programming. And just a fun fact, you're watching a TV set. A set. Why is it a set? Is there two of them? No, there's one. But look up here. I'll show you. Look up the God, because these people have. It's real deep, you guys. But they here the God set. Okay, Egyptian God, because I've studied this stuff. Egyptian God Set. Here it is. Set is the ancient Egyptian.
Set, also known as Seth or Sutek, was the ancient Egyptian god of chaos, storms, and the desert. He famously killed his brother Osiris, leading to conflict with his nephew Horus. Depicted with a human body and the head of a unique animal, Set was seen as a necessary, powerful force, though his image later shifted to represent disorder, especially during foreign invasions.
Yeah, so it's a god of chaos, storms, deserts, violence, and foreigners. Just what you see on TV. And guess what he looks like? Here, I'll show you real quick. There's a picture of him. I'll show you. Here he is. See the ears, the antenna? That's Set, god of chaos, with a onk. Anyway, turn that Set off. It's just chaos. It's bullshit. And you know, once you turn the TV off, you'll notice you have a whole lot more time in your life. You can do better things. You won't be programmed and scared to death and upset and fighting with the people in your household over Trump and all this other stuff. All right. Anyway. I won't get any more into it. But let's go over to books of the Bible, okay? I'm going to show you real quick. So, and then when I say the Bible is it's actually, so Bible, B-I-B-L-E. Some people think it stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth. But actually, Bibli, I think it's Latin, can't remember. But Bible, Bibli, is actually just means it's a collection of small books, okay? So there's a whole bunch of books collected and bound together into one book. So that's basically Bible means. So you have 66 books in and this is a Protestant Bible, the Bible that you probably have, the King James, whatever you got going, maybe RSV, whatever. But so this is called the Protestant Bible. Okay, now it's different from the Catholic Bible because the Catholic Bible still has Apocrypha in it. It's got other things. It's different. And like I pointed out before, the Catholics have even a different set of 10 commandments. They took out commandment number, I don't know, it's 2 or 3. The one about not having statues and idols. They took that one out. And then they took number 10 and split it into 2 to make it back to 10 again. So anyway, but here's your books. We're going to go, this is going to be real simple. Right? So here's your 66 books of the Bible. You got your Old Testament, you got your New Testament, right? I'm going to try to get this all in here. Now, this is the Old Testament. But the Jewish people don't want it. They don't call it the Old Testament, okay? It's insulting. So when you're talking to Jewish people, don't refer to this as the Old Testament, okay? Refer to it as the Tanakh. Tanakh. Just say Tanakh. What is it? T-E? Yeah. Tanakh. And Tanakh basically stands for the, I think there's 3 sections, the laws, the books of Moses, and we'll get into that. You got the prophets and you got poetry. And so that's Tanakh. Tanakh. Anyway, so this is the Old Testament, 39 books. Tanakh, called the Tanakh. And then you got the New Testament, 27 books. Okay, so right there, split it into 2. Now I'm going to make it even easier. Break it down even easier. All right, here they are, broken down, okay? Hey, say it out loud. Good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well. All right. So again, you got the Tanakh over here, and then you've got the New Testament over here. The Tanakh is the, we'll go over that. That's the Jewish writings here. Now they have more books than this. They have more books than this, but this is what they say. And what in their Tanakh, they're in different order. They're not in this exact same order. I remember Chronicles is the last one over here. But anyway, so you have the Old Testament, is what the Christians would call it. And then over here you have the New Testament, and these are the Christian writings, okay? So the Old Testament over here, these are the Jewish writings, and they are done Um, they're done about the last one. I think I can't remember if the last one written was Malachi, but nonetheless, the last book written in the Old Testament was about 400 BC. Might as well say 400 years before Jesus was born. Okay, so these were said and done before Jesus was born. All right. Now, in the Old Testament, you don't have a devil. Okay, you don't have the devil. Um, that's an invention that came here. So by the last book written in the Old Testament and the time they started writing these was 400 years. Okay. And during this 400 years space between the Old and the New Testament, this is when the devil was invented. Okay. So you won't see anything about the devil in the Old Testament. You won't see anything about hell. Okay. There's no hell. There's no devil. None of that stuff. What you have in the Old Testament is Satan, Hasatan. Okay, and Hasatan was actually an angel, and he was actually above God's throne, and it tells different things about him. But Satan, Hasatan, which the Christians try to turn into their devil, um, he's an angel, and he's in heaven, and he can only do what God allows him to do. And in fact, the story of Job is a good example. Okay, and like I said, I'll go over these. A lot of these are really jacked up stories, you guys, and I'm not even sure why they even put them in here. But it teaches you that Satan only can do what God allows. So don't go around and say, "Well, the devil did this to me." It's Satan's fault. It's the devil's fault. Well, remember, Satan had to go to God first. Read the book of Job. Satan had to go to God first. Say, "Can I do this to him? Can I do that to him? Can I ruin his life? Can I cover him with boils and all this stuff?" So you'll learn about that. So anyway, so between here and there, um, because this is Middle East, okay, this is Jewish writings. Over here, New Testament, you basically have most of this written in Greek by the Romans. Okay, I don't care what you want to think, you got to study this stuff. Most of this is very and for I don't even know, maybe 50 years. I can't remember. For a long time before Jesus was even born, Romans occupied Israel. Romans occupied Jerusalem. Okay, they were in charge. They ran the place. So the Romans, all this is very highly, strongly influenced by Roman and pagan and mythology and all this stuff. The rock gods of the time. Okay, you got Zeus, you got Apollo, you got all that. Um, so a lot of this has very much influence, including the devil. Okay, the devil was created here about 50 years, maybe. I can't remember, but in this space here. And the devil is actually Pan, the goat god, and I'll show you who that is. Hold on a second. Let me look him up real quick. Now I think of it, I'll just show you who it is. It's Pan, the goat god. And remember when remember when Michael Jackson kept saying he's Pan? I'm Pan. I'm Pan. He didn't mean Peter Pan, you guys. He meant this Pan. And you got to be real here. I'm shutting this off, okay? Because when you pull up a picture of Pan, he's probably going to have a 3-foot, private part. Because he's a god of sex. He's a god of, let's see here, goat god Pan. So he's a goat god. Goat god Pan. And here's where your devil comes from. All right. And he's got horns, he's got hooves, he's got a tail. But I gotta make sure because if you look it up, he's known to have a very large phallus. Okay. And he is all right here. I'll just show you real quick. Just make sure these are safe. And that is him. See, he's a goat. Okay. And he's got that thing in his pants. Wait, hold on a second. Goat god Pan, okay, because that's what he morphed into. But here, let's go back in front of there. Pan, the original devil. All right, Pan. Here he is. Now, yeah, I got to be real careful with this because Pan, like I said, he's got a very large male organ. He's not always dressed, you know what I'm saying? But he's a goat god anyway. There he is. Oh, shoot. Now, what the hell just happened? Anyway, so in the Old Testament, there's no devil. There's no, when you die, in fact, they don't even talk about heaven in the Old Testament, okay? Basically, it's you're one and done. You're in the ground, okay? And you're in the dirt. They call it Sheol, Sheol. Let me just make sure he doesn't have his thing showing here. Oh, here he is. Okay. He's the goat god. That's Pan. All right. And so that's where your devil came from, you guys. So now, is there evil forces on earth? Yeah, there's dark spirits, there's dark energy, all kinds of that stuff. Okay. But they didn't have the devil in the Old Testament. All right. So here we go. That is a fairly new invention, the devil. So anyway, let's go through here. So this is back, we're going back maybe 4,000 years up to 400 BC. Okay, that's when these books are written. Now, I'm going to tell you that these books here are actually, these are the five, this is the Torah. You've heard of the Torah, Torah, Torah. This is the Torah. The books of Moses supposedly wrote, although he couldn't have wrote them all because he couldn't have wrote about where he died, where they buried him, what happened later, the wars, the leaders for the next, So anyway, yeah, you can call them the books of Moses, but that's what they call. These are the laws. You got Genesis here. Genesis is a really long book, and it's got a lot of interesting stories in it. And let me put this over. So you got Genesis, you got the flood, you've got Moses, you've got and by the way, in the Old Testament here, the Old Testament was really written by the southern and the northern tribes. Okay. They have different gods, and that's why you will see different names of gods in the Bible. You'll see them called Jehovah, Yahweh, Elohim, Adonai, El Shaddai. There's all these different names because the southern and the northern tribes wrote these books, and instead of picking and choosing, they put all their stories in there. So you'll have a lot of contradictions in here. You'll have something called doublets, which is two stories told at different times and they don't match up. And they're made by two different tribes and they just kind of smash them together, put the round peg in the square hole. So anyway, so you got the 5 books of Moses here, called the law. All right. Then you've got history books, and these are oh man, these are some just weird stories. Definitely not for children. Then you've got the poetry. You got Job, you got Psalms, you got Proverbs, Ecclesiastics, Songs of Solomon. Now, Songs of Solomon or Song of Songs, that was written by King Solomon, and he had 1,000 women. He had 700 wives and over 300 concubines, sex slaves. So, and this has got some nasty stuff in it. I'm telling you, worse than soft porn. Okay, it's pretty. Anyway, and Psalms actually just is a book of songs. It's like a church hymnal. Okay, and people like reading the Psalms. They're pleasant. I mean, not too bad. And these are mostly written by David because King David was Solomon's dad. He had tons of musicians and people singing, and so he always had around the clock. He had music going. So he wrote about half of these. I don't even know how many, but he wrote a lot of the Psalms, and they're basically songs. It's like going to your church and getting the hymnal. You know what I mean? A hymnal full of songs. Basically, these Psalms used to be songs that they sang. Proverbs is pretty good. This got some good wisdom in there. Here's a book of Job. That's a weird story. That's a lot of these stories have just face palm. Um, just we'll go over them sometime if you want. Jacked up Bible stories I call. Then you got major prophets, the book of Daniel. You know, Daniel in the lion's den, and what else did he have? They had the three Daniel or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three that went in the iron. They put them in the oven, and they came out without not even a hair burnt. Anyway, so you got Ezekiel, Lamentations, Jeremiah, Isaiah. Now Jeremiah wrote Lamentations. Lamentations is just he's bumming out. He's just sad and everything. Anyway, but these are prophets, major prophets. These are minor prophets. And this is prophecy of the time to come, and the time to come that they're looking forward to. And still to this day, the Jewish people over there, they're looking for the time, not what this is looking for, the end of the world and chaos and all this stuff. What their prophets are prophesying is also with the things that happen with Babylon and all that stuff, but they're also prophesying into the future, the day that the Jewish people really run the world. Hey, Preliminal, good to see you, Patrick. And they're looking forward to a day where a king of theirs, a descendant of King David, sits on the throne and they run the whole world, right? Not just Israel, but the whole world. And that is their Messiah. That is their king to come. So they're much different than the end times over here. They don't really have an end time. They have a time in the future, and that's why they want to build the third temple. The Babylonians knocked down the first one. The Romans knocked down the second one. So right now they want to build a third one so their Messiah can sit on the throne, the descendant of King David, and run the whole world. Okay, so they think that's going to happen. All right. Then, like I said, then and this is it. In Malachi, it says there's no more prophecies. There's nothing more to write about. We're done. Done. Close up the books, Daniel. We're done writing. Now, Jesus was born around 0 BC, maybe 3 to 5 BC. But right at the 0, might as well say. And so when Jesus was born, he was born into a life that's run by Romans, right? The Roman occupied, and they ran the place, and they oppressed the Jewish people, and but they were making bank, man. They were getting rich. The Romans were getting rich off the temple because they had at the time, they still had the temple. The second temple didn't get destroyed by the Romans until after Jesus died, like 40 years later in 70 AD. So when Jesus is born, okay, none of these books are here. And by the way, Jesus didn't write any of these books here. Jesus didn't write anything when he was here. In fact, these books right here, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the Gospels, these are the 4 Gospels right here. And here's your story of Jesus right here. Now we'll get into that in a second. But so when Jesus is born, these books right over here, Jesus is Jewish. Jesus goes by the Jewish law, the Jewish prophets. Okay, this is what Jesus believes in. And through the stories in the Gospels, Jesus is in the temple and he's reading these books because people don't have money to have their own Bibles at home. There is no Bible. What they are scrolls, okay? They're scrolls. And so people don't have money to have scrolls at home. So it's like a library. You got to go to the temple and read this stuff, and then you can go home. So Jesus is in the temple every day reading these scrolls, okay? And these are the ones he's quoting. He's quoting these. And so this is the only books that Jesus knew. All right. And then so many decades, 30, 40 years after he died, these books started getting written, okay? Now, you have to ask yourself, if Jesus is the only one that knew how to read and write, why didn't he write something? We know he knew how to read. We knew he knew how to write. And none of the rest did. In fact, the writers make sure that Matthew, Mark, none of these people knew how to read or write. They were illiterate. Oh, ye men of Galilee, ignorant as can be and all that. They didn't know how to read or write. They could barely even talk. So um, you have to ask yourself, when Jesus was here, why wasn't he writing anything down? He's the only one that had the access to it. He's the only one who knew how to read and write. But anyway, so nonetheless, you have Jesus and he's studying these books right up to his death. All this was written long after he died. And so you have the four gospels. Okay. So once you get on the Old Testament, you get in the New Testament, here you go. You got the four gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Now it's kind of funny they got this one tipped here, and that's good because these three here were written first. And this is, oh, actually, the letters from Paul were written first, which is weird. But anyway, we'll go back to here. So these books were written around the time the fall of Jerusalem. So 60, 70, 80, maybe later. But you have Matthew, Mark, and Luke were written first. And these are three of the gospels they call synoptic. And they call them synoptic. SYN is medical for looking. I mean, similar. Because synoptic means similar. SYN is similar, like a synonym, similar. And then optic means eyes, what you're seeing. So these three are called synoptic gospels because they're pretty much, they contradict each other really, really bad, but they're kind of on the same page. Then even later, around the turn of the first century, the Gospel of John is written, and John doesn't agree with any of this. All right. So anyway, you got four books that just nobody can agree on anything. Then after Jesus dies, ascends to heaven, you got the book of Acts. The book of Acts is where Paul comes into and this is where your Christians kind of get developed here. Jesus was still on the page over here with the Jewish stuff, but after Jesus dies, and he said, it is finished. Okay, it's supposed to all be over with, but voila, we have the book of Acts, and Acts was written by Luke, and Luke was not a disciple. Luke was actually they call him a doctor, but he was more like a doctorate. He was more of a somebody recording and writing. But Luke wrote Acts also because it used to be called Acts, the Acts of the Apostles 1 and the Acts or Luke 1, Luke 2. But anyway, Luke wrote supposedly the book of Acts. And you can see that in the first sentence of both these books. Oh, Theophilus, I'm writing to you. So Luke is writing to somebody named Theophilus who is paying him to keep an eye on Paul and take notes. So Luke writes Acts, and Acts is where Jesus says ascended. He died. Okay, he died. He ascends to heaven. It's supposed to be a done story. Well, all of a sudden we got Acts, and it's like that commercial. But wait, there's more. Then you got the book of Acts, where Jesus supposedly comes down in the first chapter, and what's the first thing that they say? The first thing that they say, Peter says it. He says, "Hey, Lord, I thought you were supposed to sit on the throne of Jerusalem. What happened?" And basically, Jesus says, "None of your business." And then, anyway, so this is, and then Paul comes in the picture, the Apostle Paul, and Paul supposedly meets Jesus in the desert. And one of the last things Jesus said before he dies is, "Listen, after I die, if anybody comes to you in the desert and says, 'Hey, I saw Jesus in the desert,' don't believe him. And if anybody says, 'Hey, I saw Jesus over here,' believe it not." And what's the first thing Paul says? "Hey, I saw Jesus in the desert." I guess they forgot. So they're like, "Oh, really? We saw Jesus in the desert." Yeah, but he's got three different stories that don't match. Okay. And in anyway, so now Paul's kind of taken over, and Paul was the one killing the Christians. But all of a sudden, everybody's listening to Paul, the guy that Jesus told you not to listen to after he died. But everybody's listening to Paul, and then Paul writes all these letters to these churches, and these are over in Asia Minor. Over there, they had Ephesians was these were the Philippians was the Philippi, Colossians were Colossia. These are the cities over there that he is writing to these churches. So he writes these letters. He pretty much undoes everything Jesus does, makes new rules. And coincidentally, Paul's story about in the wilderness meeting Jesus is the same story that they told with Dionysus, and it's this in hundreds of years ago, and it's the same story that the Mormons have. Who's that Mormon? Joseph the Mormon. Anyway, same story Joseph had. Joseph was in the wilderness and he got knocked over by a bright light, and the God told him what he's going to do. Same story he's using as everybody else. Anyway, so then you got the letters to from Paul, and then you have first, second, third. Because listen, all these books here and all the books that, yes, thank you, Joseph Smith. Same story as Paul is using, you know what I mean? And it's the same story that Dionysus used. How he was in the wilderness and he had a bright light and it knocked him off, and the voice said, "Don't go against me. Who do you think you are?" And all that stuff. Same story. You're gonna get up and you're gonna do what I say. Okay, the same story, same story. But anyway, so then you got the letters that he's writing to these letters are not to you. Okay. People think every word in the Bible is to you. Do you know what? The first thing when you read the Bible, before you even get into the first book, because when I got my Bible, I wanted to read everything. I wanted to understand it. So I started with like the first page with the copyright and all that stuff and the publisher. And I noticed before I even got to the books, it said this, and it was the best advice I can give anybody. When you're reading these books, remember two things. Remember who's speaking and who are they speaking to. Are they speaking to you or are they speaking to somebody else? You know what I mean? And so you got to keep that in mind. It's the biggest lesson. The best lesson is, remember, think of who's the speaker and who's he talking to. Is he talking to you? No, he's not. These are letters that Paul's writing back. So Paul goes and teaches this new Christianity, this new religion, where they're going to kind of get rid of a lot of stuff Jesus did. And so it's not going over well because it's not jiving with what they know. And a lot of these are pagans and some of them whatever. And so there's word comes back from these churches and it says, hey, there's trouble over there in Corinth. There's trouble in Galatia. There's troubles in all these places. Ephesus. Okay. So he trouble in Ephesus, he writes to the Ephesians. Trouble in Philippi, he writes to the Philippians, and so on and so forth. So these are letters that Paul wrote back saying, hey, there's trouble back at the church. I hear you. Here's what you should do. So that's what these are. And then you have 1st, 2nd, 3rd John. These are kind of cool. Then you got Jude, supposedly, I guess, maybe Jesus' brother, Jude. I don't know. But Jude here is a very short book. It's only got one chapter, and he quotes Enoch, the book of Enoch, quite a bit. And then you have the book of Revelation, which is outright insanity. And I'm going to tell you, the people and the powers that be that are running this place want you to think that we are in towards the end times, okay? So they're going to do things on the TV, and they're going to do things that make people say, wow, we really are in the end times. And then you read the book of Revelation and you'll think, wow, we're in the end times. They want you to think that, because if you think that you're not going to be alive, you're just going to give up. You're not going to thrive anymore. You're not going to look forward to the future. None of that stuff. So, put you at a disadvantage. But that's pretty much it. Let me get back to the chat because I can't see the comments, you guys. All right. All right, I'm way behind. I don't know if I can catch up on all this, but well, hey, Tony, I didn't see you come in. I saw your comment. I didn't see it was you. Yeah, so same. Paul's got the same story, and Paul is who Jesus warned you about. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Quit watching the news. There's nothing you can do about it unless you can do something about it. Turn it off. Because I'm going to tell you, you tell me. Anybody who watches the news, I used to watch the news. I never turned my TV. I had a TV in the bedroom, I had a TV in the living room, I had a TV in the kitchen. And when I was home, that was on 24/7. Whenever I was home, that TV was on the news, Fox News, CNN, any news I could get a hold of. Um, and you got to ask yourself, how are you better off watching the news over the 10 years than I am? Guess what? I haven't stressed over anything. Yeah, when I hear stuff, it's just I just shake my head. Um, but you're not. It's not helping you. It's not helping you to watch the news. All right. Um, Nothing you can do about it. All that stuff. So let me just get. Oh, I love that REM song, "Man on the Moon." I love REM. Yep, nothing you can do about it. And then there's because when you watch these stories, okay, it's a heaviness, it's a burden, it's something to worry about, and something to bum you out and think about, and something to argue with other people about. All that stuff. Shut it off. All right. Let's see. Say it out loud. It says knee slapping Sunday. Yes, every Sunday is knee slapping, huh? Uh, yeah, yeah. Anyway, good to see you, Patrick. Preliminal. Patrick does his own artwork. He's got art on his channel. He is an artist. Well, hey, Toddy, good to see you tonight. Hope you've been doing well. Kathy, may I ask if there's prayer warriors in the chat? Can I get a prayer for my wife? Not sure if cancer is back until after the scans. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, T-Brew. Yes. Everybody, please say prayers for T-Brow's wife if you're inclined. And if you don't believe in God or whatever, um, send positive vibes. You know what I mean? Send some positive energy, some happy thoughts. Believe me, it makes a difference. Anyway, I wish the best for your wife there, T-Bro. I hope for the best possible results on her test. So sorry to hear that. Anyhow, the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's happened happened before. Absolutely. That is Ecclesiastics. That's from Ecclesiastics. And Ecclesiastes is basically written basically like what would you say? A leader of a church role. Like anyway, it's good advice. Ecclesiastes. Yes, there is nothing new under the sun, and it's all on repeat, you guys. Don't worry, the world's not going to end. Turn off the TV. You're being played. Okay, you're being gaslit. I'll tell you when for sure it's a false story on the news. If number one, in these false stories are to eventually take control of everybody. Every time there's a story, every time they're pushing something, is so me and you lose our freedoms, and me and you have to pay more to live. You and me and you. It's to fool us to make their plan go forward, all their plans. You know what I mean? The New World Order. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, just shrug it off. Yeah. Let me try to get some of these. Oh, hello, sweetheart. Love you too. Love to everybody. Grace sent me a nice little video that and we've seen it before, you know, those videos where somebody will yell at a plant and it will die, and somebody else will talk nice to the plant and it will live and thrive. And that is the power of words, people. It is a power of words. And it's just like spelling, okay? Spelling can actually, I don't want to say spell casting, but it in a way it is. Spelling is basically words. Okay, words mean a lot, and your words mean a lot. Okay, and yeah, so she sent me a video about this guy in the military that they did an experiment, and they screamed horrible things at this apple. They had three apples. They had a regular control apple. Then they had an apple that they talked really nice to, and an apple that they screamed and said horrible things to. And after I don't know how long was it, a week or two or whatever, the apple they screamed at was all brown and shriveled up. The one that they all spoke nice to looked better than it started, and the control one they didn't say anything was looked the same, but it was kind of getting soft. So yeah. Oh hey, Red, good to see you tonight. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I would suggest Here's just I'm not going to suggest that. I'll tell you though. If I had a cancer diagnosis, I'll tell you what I would do. I'd probably stay clear of the medical facility. But anyway, what I would do is starve the cancer out. I would stop. I would fast because I've seen all the studies, and you can starve cancer cells rather than poisoning yourself and the cancer cells. You know what I mean? So look into fasting if you look into fasting for curing cancer. Um, it's really interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I dealt with it. I cared for. I watched somebody die, and it was I felt bad later because I'm the one who drove them to these radiation and this chemo and all this stuff. And I looking back, it's like, dang, you know, basically watched them die and get worse and worse. But yeah, I would look into natural remedies, but especially fasting. Look into fasting for curing cancer. I'm not giving any medical advice. Disclaimer on that. Oh my, I gotta let my dogs in, man. It's just got dark and we got wild animals coming down to the pond. So they're in the fence, but I'm gonna have to let them in real quick. Anyway, good to see you, Red. I hope you've been doing well. Hold on a second. So, we're supposed to keep going no matter what, according to the KJV. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, this cat is obsessed with the calendars. I'm telling you, ever since I had that calendar. Remember, the cat was, well, I had two cats that were trying to go after the calendar that I had laying around that I was working on. Well, now the cat, that one's put away. Now the cat's ripping the calendar off the wall. My other one, it's like obsessed with calendars now. Uh, yeah, how convenient to open the door and let him in. Yeah. Yep. I made sure I don't have to go out with him. Yeah. I love watching your flea market video, Kathy. It's interesting how different parts of the country offer different things. Yeah, somebody else said that, and yeah, they're calendar cats, man. They're out of their mind. They're obsessed with calendars. Um, but yeah, somebody said that, and it is a good point. They said in California they got like movie memorabilia and all kinds of cool stuff like that, Hollywood stuff, and I don't know, different collectibles. But in the Midwest here, our antiques are farming equipment and things for gardening and farming and livestock and basically stuff like that. So that's a good point. Hmm. Different parts of the country is going to have different treasures laying around these houses. The cars, The cats are not. Yeah, now my cats are in the calendar. Started when I had the calendar on the kitchen table. Two of them were just getting crazy on it. They would just like rip it and throw it in the air, and it's just like if I took my eyes off it for 2 seconds, and they would like be all over it and want to tear it up. So I put that one away, but and then they started going at the calendar on the wall. They get up on the freezer and they stretch as far as they can. They try to rip the calendar down. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you for watching the flea market video. It was fun. Uh, I know some of them people there, and I was into flea marketing for a long time. On the other side, I used to be a vendor at the flea markets, and now I'm a customer because it's fun. It's true, but never really realized it till I watched it. Yeah, that is cool. I would like to go to flea markets in different parts of the country now. I want to see what other people have. uh, yeah, I missed you, Red. I wondered if you're under another name now, or wondered what happened. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, me too. Not my monkeys. We hope Red is doing good. Yeah, I figured you meant cats. The cat calendar. Mine is old classic cars, and I paid. It wasn't a dollar store calendar like other years. This time I ordered a calendar with classic cars. It was like a $15 calendar, and I kind of had buyer's remorse. I thought, why did I just spend $15 on a calendar? Anyway, it came, and I like it, but now it's really bums me out if they try ripping that thing up. Yeah, yeah, it was made me want to go. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just the start. They open up because we're seasonal here, so they open up in April. So some of them are just starting. It's every Wednesday through the whole till fall. You know what I mean? So I'll be going again. My friends are usually set up there. I got some good friends that set up there, and they weren't there this time. It's kind of weird. So I'm hoping that they're okay. Uh, I believe it. They love that shit like tough. I know. Yeah, I can't even put my paper towels on the rack anymore because the cats unravel it no matter what. The whole thing is down unraveled when I wake up in the morning, no matter what I do. The sales they do at the St. Fair are insane. Yeah, I enjoyed that video. That was I love that big wrench. Somebody said my moderators need that big wrench. I love that big. It was $75. I think it was $70. It was a little high. If you notice, I will always bargain with people. Listen, it's a dance. You got to do it, right? So I love bargaining with people. In fact, I talked them mixing bowls were probably $80 if I went out and bought those online plus shipping. But at $25, I would have bought it anyway. I would have paid $30 for those bowls, those Pyrex mixing bowls, those vintage ones. But he had $25 on it, and kicked myself in the ass because it had these metal slotted spoons that I really needed. I was so excited to see the bowls. I took them spoons out and just chucked them. I was so excited, and I would have paid 25 easy. But I said, "Hey, what will you do on this?" He said 20, and I thought, "Okay, I'm going to take those for 25." Yeah, so I broke the blue one. I got these Pyrex bowls, and I broke a blue one. It fell out of my. I was getting it out of the cupboard, and it fell out of my hands and smashed on the kitchen floor in a million pieces. I mean, pieces shot like 10 feet away. It was just crazy. But anyway, I looked in online. It was $40 to replace that blue bowl plus shipping. So just that blue bowl would have been $40 to anyway. So I got all three of them. I used to have the yellow one too, but it broke. Let's see. Yeah, I like the big wrench. I love tools and I love big giant stuff. Uh, that was a big giant tool, so I liked it. Uh, anyway, I'm trying to read these. Uh, yeah, I was trying to see what Red said here. All right. Mine have a lot of vendors that sell new trinket type things, old food. but not a lot of antiques. Yeah, I didn't even bother when those people are selling those retail things brand new in packages. I skip right past those tables. I can buy that stuff at the discount store, you know. Yeah, I want to find something that I can't see anywhere else. You know what I mean? I want to find something that nobody else has. You know what I mean? Stuff you can't buy anymore. Yeah, it was made me want to go. Yeah. Um, Grace says we have missed you, Red. I've been wondering the same thing. Yeah, we were wondering kind of where you were. She said, I'm doing better, had another surgery, but am on the mend. Have been staying off social media and taking more time for family. That's good. That's good. I'm going to tell you that negativity, you guys, it is not good for you. Negativity, screaming and insulting people and lying about people and saying how horrible they are and screaming and anger and all that. You guys, you're killing yourselves. I mean, I'm not talking about you guys in my chat. I'm talking about these YouTubers, okay? And then they wonder why they're sick all the time. Yeah, because you might as well go eat crap out of a trough, okay? Because that's why you know, your body is listening to you, okay? Your body's always listening to you. And people who are depressed, they just want to out of this world and stuff. Your body's listening. Mhm. And your body doesn't know the difference between real and what's not real, okay? Now, I'll tell you because you can do an experiment. Here, we'll do an experiment. So, your brain, your body's listening to everything that comes out of your mouth. So if you start talking, say, okay, close your eyes. Okay. Now picture a lemon or a lime or a lemon. Okay. You guys all had a lemon. Close your eyes and picture that lemon and picture cutting that lemon up. Okay. Cut the lemon in half and then cut it again and make a wedge. Okay. And now you're going to take that slice of lemon and you're going to put it in your mouth. Okay. Chew on that lemon. Ooh, it's sour. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Now, when you do that, do you notice that your mouth just watered like you have a lemon in your mouth? Your brain just thought you put a lemon in your mouth because you said you did. Okay. Yes. Negativity will make you sick. Just like that video of the Grace, you want to put that link up? You want to put that link up of the apples? How many cats do I have? Well, I'll break it down into categories. I have two cats that are my own. And my other two cats disappeared last year. But I have stray cats that I feed, a lot of them. Now, there's less in the last year or so. So I got an outdoor cat that's always around. She's skittish. She won't let me go near her, but those are the ones with the babies right now. And then I have a few other strays that I've actually been able to lure into my house because on the porch I have a sliding glass window and I open up the window so they can come in here and I pretend I'm not looking. So I've lured a few in here and I've kind of tamed a couple of them. So I got a couple in here right now that are actually strays, but they're tame enough to come in the house. Now, the weird thing is I had two tabby cats last year, and the tabbies are the ones with the M on the forehead, right? They looked like twins, two boys. One's name was Michael, and the other one I called Missy. I thought it was a girl, Misty, but but it turned out to be a boy. So his name changed to Mister instead of Misty, and then but I call him Ghost because he's just always invisible. But anyway, so both of the boys disappeared last June. Both of them. I don't know where they went. Last June. All right. Michael was one of my favorites. He was so special. And I tamed him and he was really cool. But his brother Ghost, He was kind of skittish or whatever. But anyway, they both disappeared last June. About 2, 3 weeks ago, I opened up the porch window. I slide it open. I got a table right there. And I just reach out and I put the food and water out there. And I went to open up the window, expecting to see the black cat and maybe a couple others. And I see this cat that disappeared last year. And I'm looking at it and my mind like almost exploded. I couldn't even like wrap my mind around like, what am I seeing this? Totally kind of forgot about him. But anyway, there he is, ghost. And I opened up the window and I thought, is that you? But I couldn't imagine another cat looking like that would just come up and come into the house. But he's a little skittish, but he came into the house. And this cat has been missing for 9 months. And he came into my house. He was clean as a whistle. His white was sparkling white. He was white as can be. He was fat. All right. So, and he didn't have any winter fur on him. You know what I mean? And so somebody had this cat in their house, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, you guys. I don't know what house, where was he? But he came back and he was clean, he was fat, and he had no winter fur on him. So that was a couple weeks ago. I'm like, wow. Open up the window. He's a little skittish, but then he came in, and man, he's here. He's here. I'm like, where were you? He's not. He ain't talking. He didn't tell me where he was. Wow. Okay. All right, but he came back. I wish, believe me, I don't want to say it, but I kind of wish it was my other cats that disappeared. But it's okay. It's okay. He needs love too. So I don't know. And then it gave me kind of hope. Well, maybe my other cats that went missing, maybe somebody has them. Maybe they'll come back someday too. Uh, yeah, they like it. Uh, thanks for asking. Yeah, not my monkey. Oh, and I saw a sign there. Not my monkey's sign. Yeah, that was for her. So that's how many cats I have. I have a couple of my own, but I got some that stray cats, some that are kind of tame, some that are tame, and some that aren't tame at all. So, um, see how jumpy this thing is? It's hard to. Oh, it's like you're trying to read a slot machine. Yeah, the bowls were a good deal. Yeah. Yes, I had all my teeth removed and have to get dentures and still have one more jaw surgery left. Oh, I hope that goes well. Two of the things in your body that heal the fastest is your eyeball and your mouth. Those are two things that heal the fastest in the body is your mouth and your eyes. I hope you have a fast, speedy recovery, an easy one. Hope it goes better than you thought. Yeah, I did get a good, yeah, thanks, Toddy. I did get a good the Pyrex bowls. Yeah. I need the yellow one. I had the yellow one. I had my mom's yellow one. And it broke. Yeah, jaw hurts for you. Yeah, and the eating part that yeah. Yeah, make sure you keep eating. If you want to make sure you don't lose weight, eat a bunch of ice cream. Yeah, it becomes too much. Yeah. You love vintage kitchen stuff. Me too. Nothing like it. It doesn't have the Teflon, doesn't have the poisons and toxins. Anyone hear anything about Patrick or more charges? No, I didn't, Red. I'm looking every day for his for next court date, but I every day I look and there isn't anything. Yeah, I don't know anything about. Oh, but I have been working on a video, you guys. I have a Whittaker video coming out, and it is about that. Guess spoiler alert. I'll tell you what it's about. It's about why hasn't anybody been charged with blackmailing the Whittakers? Patrick and Eric both blackmailed the Whittakers, and not just for some money or whatever. They blackmailed them to go testify in court. And I want to know how come nobody's been charged with that. So that's a video I have coming out soon. You'll see it. It'll be in the next couple days. I've been working on a bunch of videos. I do the videos and then I edit them, and editing can take a long time. So no, I haven't heard anything new. But I'm going to bring that up because they have the indictments coming out in May for Raleigh County. And I don't know if he's going to be if Eric is going to be charged. But Eric needs to be charged with something too. I don't think it's fair that only Patrick gets charged with something out of this. If I don't think that would be fair at all. I think Eric should be charged too. Why should only one of them get charged? You know? Yeah. Yeah, we're glad you're getting better, Red. Yeah. It's like, I never liked cats too. And then when my kids were younger, okay, I was at work one day and I came home from work and my kids were teenagers and they were fighting right when I came through the door. As soon as I came home from work, Mom, she did that. Mom, he did that. No, she did that. And they started fighting back and forth. And I don't know what I said. I said something to my daughter. And my daughter said, "Oh, yeah? Why don't you tell Mom about the cats underneath your bed?" And then it was like, I'm like, "About what?" She said, "Yeah, he's got 2 cats under his bed." I said, "We don't have cats in our house." And I go upstairs and then, yeah, he's got 2 cats under his bed. She ratted him out. And I would have found out anyway, but yeah, that's what she said. "Oh, yeah? Why don't you tell Mom about them 2 cats under your bed?" And then, oh, snap, So anyway, I said, "That's it. We're bringing them to the Humane Society and blah, blah, blah." And then, yeah, after a couple days, I thought, yeah, they're not terrible. So we kept them. And then that's when I started having cats. Yeah. Anyway, they're different. They're different, way different from a dog. That's for sure. Yeah. I got a new puppy. Oh, Boston Terrier. She's a handful. Oh, I love puppies. Well, that's exciting, Red. I love puppies. I love having puppies. Boston terrorist, yeah. They are a handful, and they're so filled with energy. Yeah. You know what? Here's a good thing about pets. Especially if you're sick or you're not feeling well or whatever. Like there's no way if I'm depressed or not really happy about something, there's no way it's like a kid. You can't lay in bed all day because they have to go out. You have to get up. You have to let them out. You have to feed them and all this other stuff. So there's no time for there's no time for kind of slacking off on anything. Trying to get some extra sleep? Nope. Yeah. Well, hi D. Good to see you tonight. Hey D, I hope you're doing well. Hope everything is going good there. D has been on our channel for many years. I don't even know how long, D. 7, 8? I don't know. The eating part is hard, yeah. Yeah, but they'll make you happy. Like if you're feeling sad, animals make you happy. Oh, they make me happy. It's hard to be sad when you have animals. To me, anyway. Yeah, Grace has a dog and a cat. I got several of both. uh, anyway, everyone's good to see you. I'm so glad you did a video on Daryl Sheets. I was watching it just before the live. I need to go finish it in a bit. Yeah, I feel bad for him. I think there's something suspicious going on there. I think there was foul play myself. I didn't say it in the video, but now I'm thinking it. Yeah. Anyway, poor Daryl. I hope if somebody was responsible, I hope they're held accountable for it. I personally think Eric is getting a break for being the first one to step forward and give information. But who knows? Anyone here he paid Betty yet? Yeah, I haven't heard anything about being paid. I mean, Eric might be getting a break for stepping forward, but even the person that steps forward first usually does get the best deal. But they usually still have to pay for something. I don't think they get off the hook all the way. But what if anyone still votes Patrick or Eric for Timmy's new daddy? Yeah, he's pushing 50. I don't think he needs a dad. Timmy is probably almost 50, probably 47 at this point. That was wild too. Yeah. My kids did that too. My son ratted out my daughter. She had a cat in her room for 2 weeks without me knowing. I'd moved into my mom's house at the time, so I didn't know. Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember who ratted on who. Oh, it was my daughter ratted on the son because my son had the cats under his bed. And he got the cats from a neighbor that was giving the cats away. And they were old cats. They weren't like kittens. Anyway. Uh, yeah, I said, well, when I get home from work tomorrow, we'll bring them straight to the Humane Society, and they ended up being ours. My nephew died last night. He's been ill for quite a while. Oh, really? I'm so sorry to hear that. That's your sister's son, right? I'm so sorry, Dee. Oh, rest in peace. I'm glad he's not suffering. Hey, Toddy. Hope you're. How are you tonight? I feel bad for my sister and his son. Yeah, yeah, I feel bad too. But that's why people need to learn. And Dee, you've heard this for many years that dying isn't the end. In fact, you can still talk to them. You can still communicate with your loved ones. He was 65. His son is close to 30. Yeah, it's 30 years old is hard to young to live your to lose your dad. 65 is young too to die. Yeah, yeah. Sorry to hear that, Dee. Yeah, that's bad. But you're yeah, you can still get a hold of your loved ones. You can and at least if at least if you at least communicate once with your loved ones, at least you'll know at least you know that they're okay. You know what I mean? This notion of people burning in hell is ridiculous, and it's just a sad thing that people think that oh somebody that takes their life is gonna burn forever and all this stuff. It's just terrible. Say it out loud. I really enjoyed your flea market video. Well, thank you. Say it out loud. Yeah, I think I'll be doing a few videos out and about. I like being outside doing the videos. All right, walk the dogs and lock the house up. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, Red. We're happy to see you tonight, and we hope you have a speedy recovery. Yeah, well, thank you. Say it out loud. It was fun. I might be going again during the summer. I'm sure I will. Oh yeah, that was a great video also. Yeah, no, he's not in pain anymore. I like seeing the kittens. Oh yeah. Yeah, I woke up yesterday or the day before and they were sitting right on a table right outside my window. I slide the window open and put the food out there so I don't have to go outside. I have it set up so I can be lazy. I can let the dogs out without walking them. I can feed the outdoor cats without leaving the house. So I went to the window and there was 3 kittens there. And I knew that there was kittens because my dog's been every time we go to the pole barn, he runs to the back of the pole barn and wags his tail and looks in behind some boxes. So I knew there's at least one kitten, if not more. So anyway, she brought him up though. She grabbed him by the neck and brought each one of them into my porch because at 5 weeks old they have to start. They eat solid foods. So at 5 weeks old, you start feeding them and you give them a litter box. That's when they start pooping solid. So You got to have the litter box the same day you feed them, and yeah, they'll figure it out. I lost a friend I've known since 6 years old this month. My uncle passed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, T, bro. Yeah, and I know some people don't like it, but yeah, you can definitely get a hold of people once they cross over. But I would wait at least 6 months after somebody passed because when your soul leaves Earth here, there are things that they do. So just give it a few months, and I mean, yeah, I mean, all you have to do is ask for a sign from the person. The longer they've been gone, the better. I mean, and don't ever try to get in touch with your people on the other side when you're in a depressed state or angry or any kind of a low, dark energy because yeah, it's not good. They're not going to talk to you, and you might get something worse, you know? Yeah. My dogs keep getting baby rabbits and playing with them till they pass. You know what? My dog did that with kittens. I think it was last summer. Played with them like squeaky toys, and there wasn't a mark on them, but they were all soaking wet and they were gone. And I was so mad, but the dog, he didn't mean to do it. He was just thought they were toys, you know. He got a hold of them. I don't think you need to wait. I was in touch with my mom. Oh, really? Well, I know within the first 3 days to 7 days, they're still around. And that's been over thousands and thousands of years and many, many cultures. They know that. And as a matter of fact, um, Native Americans, I think it depends which tribe and where you're from, but a lot of them it's 3 or 5 or 7 days while they're still here wandering Earth before they leave. And then Jewish people, I think theirs is 3 days. Will they wait 2 or 3 days before they bury? Some of them wait to bury. Some cultures and religions wait to bury the person for a certain amount of days to make sure their soul is passed. But yeah, but I have connected with my loved ones and my pets. The first ones I connected was with my pets. I lost two pets that I was just devastated about. Different times, they're years apart. Devastated. Um, but once I connected with them, God, I felt so much better. And then I of course connected with I connected with a loved one, more than one person that has crossed over. Told you guys as soon as my husband passed away, he started giving me signs immediately. And yeah, yeah. But once you have the sign and you have a confirmation that yeah, they're fine. They're here. They're here if you want them to be. If you ask for them, they'll come. They're fine. You do you. They're fine. It would make people's life so much better. You wouldn't have these people who can't live without somebody who passes away, and then the survivor wills themselves to death or takes their life, or whatever. Just devastated. It doesn't need to be like that. Like I said, once you realize that um, it's very comforting to know that they're fine. Okay, the people that listen, they feel more sorry for you than them because we're still here. You know what I mean? And we're going through the hard part, not them. But yeah, you can learn. Just ask them for a sign. You can tell them the sign. Say, hey, I'd like to see whatever. I'd like to see a rabbit. I would like to see a flower, a feather, a whatever. You name it. And they'll give you the sign. Or hey, I have them flick the lights. You know what I mean? Because they're energy, so I have them flick the lights. One for yes, two for no. And once you've connected with your people who have crossed over, it's Your life will never be the same. You won't worry about that. Stop worrying about your own passing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, they do check up on us. And they check up on us when you think about them. The people say, oh my gosh, are they watching me in the bathroom, in the shower? No. Or in bed, you know what I mean? No. Don't worry, your late husband is not upset that you're in bed with your new boyfriend or whatever. Oh, your feather story? Okay, I'll tell Grace's feather story. And this happened a few days ago. Now, one of the signs that your loved one is here is that they'll drop a feather, okay? Because they have whatever sign you want, but there's a lot of them that are repeating over and over. A lot of people have the same thing. It's either a butterfly or it's a red cardinal or it's a feather. They'll put feathers on the ground. And so Grace went out on the hiking trails, and there's always feathers or whatever. There's feathers, and Grace will pick up the feather and bring it home. And now tell me if I'm getting this story right. She'll pick up the feather and bring it home. And when she was on her walk the other day, she walked past the feathers and she didn't pick up any. Is that right? And then, but when she got home, and she usually does, but this time she didn't. And when she got home, she walked into her bedroom and there was a big old feather laying right in the middle of the floor for no reason. Because you walked past all those feathers. Anyway, I hope I got that story right. You always ask for a sign in the night sky shooting star. Oh yeah, there you go. You got to remember there's certain things that they can do, energy, nature. They can do things with nature. They can have a song play on the radio. They can, you know they're in tune with nature, so they can have a butterfly go past you. They can have a bird go past you. They know where you're going to be tomorrow and the next day. Um, they can have you at a certain place at a certain time, so you see something. You get a lot of it's easy to get a confirmation from people pass away. That's why I don't even worry about death. It's so different now. Oh, I was worried about people that died. Are they okay? Are they in hell because they didn't do this and they didn't do that? No, don't worry about that. That's fine. They're fine. Ask them. I'll tell you. Um, Now my monkey said, one year a stray had kittens under the neighbor's shed, and I felt bad for her, so I was feeding her. She brought me her kittens one by one. She carried them by their necks and dropped them off at my door. Really? Yeah, that's they trusted you. She trusted you. Yeah, she brought these up one at a time and dropped them in the port here, which is nice. It means she trusts me. You know what I mean? She trusts me. Uh, yeah, you didn't pick up any feathers that day. Yeah. Yeah, I like that story. And it just shows you that if you pay attention and you want to have a sign, you either tell them the sign or let them figure the sign, but just they'll give you a sign and you'll know that they're fine. Um, and that's why I don't think of death the same anymore. Um, I when my cats disappeared, and normally that would have devastated the hell out of me for a long time. But I know that either A, they're alive and somebody's taking care of them, because they will do anything to get home. There's no way they would stay away. They would, if they had a chance, they would come home. There's no way they wouldn't want to be here. And if they died, that's fine too, because they've crossed over to the other side and they're still with me. Either way, I'm okay. But yeah, at one point that would have devastated the hell out of me. I'm like, well, if they crossed over, hey. And then if they haven't, well, they must be being taken care of. Yeah, it is trust and confidence. Especially these stray cats, man. They're skittish. Can't even open the window. They all take off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's cool. And yeah, it's good good juju, good karma, good all that stuff, good vibes and energy to take care of animals, no matter who they are, whether they're yours or strays. Good energy. I got some dogs under my feet here. Come on. Swap it out. Go on. Uh, anyway, so I don't know. It'll be interesting if, listen, let's put it this way. If Patrick goes to trial, okay, because you know how most of the time, I don't know, was it 9 out of 10 times, most of the time, they'll strike a deal before they go to court, go to trial. Most cases don't make it to trial. Usually they strike a deal with the defendant, or whatever. So I don't know if Patrick will go to trial, but if he does, guess who's gonna be testifying against him? Eric. And whether and the Whittakers themselves would probably testify. At least the two older ones, or the Betty and Larry. Um, so I do I you know what's weird though? I do want to mention this. Um, so okay, so I check these records all the time. I check the misdemeanor records and I check the felony records. And I'm gonna just tell you, the other day I'm just thinking, wait a minute, why? Okay, I've been trying to get my hands on these records. Okay, I've been trying to get my hands on the records from the restraining order. Remember the restraining order against BJ, right? Okay, so you tell me. I looked in the magistrate records and I've looked in the circuit court records, both. And I've even paid money to get some records. I have. I could show you. I've been paying money and been pulling records, right? And I've been paying for them. Grace knows it. Um, and I cannot find a single record of BJ or any Whittaker going to any court for restraining order. Now, restraining order would have been in the magistrate court, okay, not the circuit court. It probably would have been in the magistrate court, family court or whatever. So, no record anywhere. There's never been a record of that restraining order. And I even checked into where's Raleigh County keep their restraining order records, and they said in the magistrate. You got to go. So I did. I looked in the there's nothing. There is not one thing about that restraining order. Now, if it had been private, it would just would have says private. You can't see it. But there is no record of that restraining order. But I'll tell you what I did find, and this is funny. So I check everybody. I check Betty Whittaker, Larry Whittaker, Betty Rocha, which is BJ. I check I even checked Timmy and Lorraine and Ray. I have run everybody's name through there, and there is not one single thing about this restraining order. Okay, but I'll tell you what did come up, and this is recent. This is something came up on Betty Whittaker and something came up on Larry Whittaker. But I don't think it's the same Betty and Larry Whittaker because I think I told Grace, I can't remember. I told somebody what I found. So there is a Larry Whittaker that comes up on, I think it's a circuit court. I can't remember which courts, but anyway, I've checked both. And I've been looking for Patrick, and there's nothing since they transferred from magistrate court over to circuit court. That was the last entry. It was on 3/9. So anyway, so I keep entering in Larry Whittaker, Betty Whittaker, okay, because it would and BJ's name, because they would have been the ones involved in the restraining order. And now recently I got a hit on Larry Whittaker and I got a hit on Betty Whittaker, but I don't think it's the same people. This cannot be the same people. So one of them, it said for Betty Whittaker, and then, like I said, there's probably lots of Whittakers, right? but under Betty Whittaker, and I'm pretty sure it's not her. Her name came up in it was like a raid on a house. There was a house that the police raided, and they found a suitcase in the closet with like $100,000 in it or something. And for some reason, her name is with a bunch of other people in that house. And so that can't be her. That cannot be our Betty Whittaker. Okay. So anyway, that's got to be a different Betty. So it's just like that made no sense. So, anyways, probably a different Betty Whittaker. Then under Larry, and that was new, you guys. That was just last month or not month before. It was a recent. And then I got a recent hit on Larry Whittaker, Lawrence, and he was but this is in I think Mercer County. It's like the county next county over. But I got a hit on him from last month or maybe the month before, but and I don't think it's him either. So there was a Larry Whittaker who was looking for a used car at a car lot. And they were under construction. They were doing some construction on the car lot. Um, and this Larry Whittaker, probably a different one, but he tripped on something, construction stuff, and he fell and hit his head and he got knocked unconscious. And he had to go get medical treatment. And he is suing the car lot, the LLC, for his injuries. So that's a civil suit. So I don't think it's them. Like I said, I don't think these two are. I don't think this is them. I mean, there's just probably more than one Betty Whittaker, and there's probably more than one Larry Whittaker. So, but those two names came up recently in the last couple of months. So I thought, yeah, it can't be them. Anyway, so there is a Betty out there. There's a Larry out there that's I think doing their own thing. And I think that Betty, we were told that she lives in another state with somebody else. So, uh, all of mine I came across in weird ways. I have 7. Right. Okay. So animals come to us. We don't come to them. Even if you pick one out at a breeder, it doesn't matter. That animal is meant to be with you. And every animal that comes into your life is to teach you a lesson, is to enrich your soul, teach you something valuable. Um, so every animal, you're going to learn something that you cannot learn from another human being. Animals teach us something that humans can't. And so every animal, and that's why you'll get animals in a weird way. Okay. Like all of a sudden this cat shows up, or, or this dog, Um, but even if you go by them, it really doesn't matter that you're meant to be with that animal. And it's coming into your life for a reason. After 10 mile hike, I came home and found a big, fluffy white feather in the floor in the middle of my bedroom. Yep. You can't miss it. That is a sign. They threw them in front of your path and you kept walking around them. And that's something they can do. Okay. That's doable for them. We recently had to move my in laws in, and my pit bull keeps growling at my mother in law. We already knew that we shouldn't have the dog around people other than us before the in laws. But now we don't know what to do because we're scared the dog could really hurt someone. No, don't put her down. Is it temporary? Those people living with you temporary? Your mother, your in-laws? Maybe they can stay somewhere. No, I wouldn't put the dog down. Maybe find somebody to take the dog. Yeah, I'll check into that. Oh, say that loud. Yeah. Let's see. But I have okay, so I have dogs, and when I have people come over, when I have family come over, I have to put the dogs away because they will probably bite. And if I left the old one out, and sure as shit, he nipped somebody. And they were walking out the door, and the dog went and nipped his heel as he left. Like he just couldn't stand it anymore. But man, even the old one, I can't even have him out. Yeah, it was a sign. Uh, You know, I have learned how to be a dog whisperer, and you can learn it too. You know how the dog whisper on those shows, those dog whisper? I've learned how to do that. I've learned how to communicate. And now, you want to know how? Because listen, if you ever watch that show, The Dog Whisper, what happens? The guy knocks on the door, and then the family lets him in and said, "Well, here's little here's his little, Bosco, and he's we're having trouble. He's upset. He's biting. He's tearing up our furniture, and they tell him all the things that the dog's doing wrong, right? And then what does the guy do? What does the dog whisperer do? He sends them all out of the house and go have dinner or something. Go eat lunch. Leave me alone with your dog. Leave me alone with your dog for an hour or two. And then when you come back, oh, we're back. What? Look at him. He's sitting. Yeah. And then the dog whisperer says, yeah, the dog told me when you're gone that, ever since you got remarried, he really doesn't like your wife. And he's feeling left out, and you give the wife more attention than, whatever. They got an answer, right? Now, why do they send you out of the house? And why don't they show you what that guy does? Because we all like to know this, right? Why can't we watch? Why? Because it would probably put some vets out of business. It's life changing. So I learned how to be a dog whisperer, and you can learn it too. And I found out what was wrong with my German Shepherd. All right. So what it is, it's like, how do I explain it? Anyway, they don't want you to know these things, but I'll tell you if you want to know. But there's a reason your dog is doing that. There's a reason my dog. So I got this little German Shepherd, and I got the German Shepherd, and he was only 5 weeks old. All right. I got pick of the litter, and they wanted me to take it now, or they're gonna give somebody else pick a litter. So I got the German Shepherd pick a litter, and I brought him home, and he was here about a month, and I really missed my border collie who had died. And I went to the Amish, and I bought a border collie from them, a puppy. I also had pick of the litter with that too. I had pick of the litter. So I bought the puppy from the Amish, a little border collie. So then the little puppy comes in, and the German Shepherd's getting a little bigger, but the border collie puppy comes in, and he's the baby, and the German Shepherd, from the minute the German Shepherd got here, he wanted to be king shit. He wanted to run the place. I got another dog. I actually had two dogs when I got the puppy, German Shepherd. But the German Shepherd puppy, as 6 weeks old, wanted to rule the roost. He wanted to boss everybody around and all this shit. And so he wasn't. Anyway, so I was babying the border collie, right? And so I thought, well, let him be Mr. Tough Ass, you know what I mean? No, just whatever. So I was babying the border collie and treating it like a little baby and stuff. And the German Shepherd started being really mean to the border collie, like biting it and growling, going up to his face and growling and challenging it and all this other. And no matter what I was doing, it was just getting worse. And then I found out how to be a dog whisperer. And so what being a dog whisperer is you have to lock your mind into their mind. And there's a process to do it. You have to have it totally quiet. Nobody can be around. You gotta be silent and get rid of the other animals. And you go mind to mind with the dog. And I was laying in bed that night, and I and the German Shepherd was laying next to me in the bed, and his head was on the pillow, and my head was on the pillow, and we were facing each other. And I thought, oh, this would be a good time to do the mind Jedi trick with this dog. So I was, and there's a way to do it. I'll tell you what the process is. But anyway, so I did the mind Jedi trick on the dog. I locked brains with him, and I locked our minds together, and I was asking the dog, what is your problem? Why do you have a problem with that border collie? What is your problem? And you when you do this, your minds are locked together, and you can actually hear him speak. And what the dog said was, I heard loud and clear, I'm the baby. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you're the baby? You're Mr. Tough Ass. You know what I mean? I thought to myself, this makes no sense. And he said, I'm the baby. And I thought about it, I thought, how you don't want to be the baby. You want to be the big tough ass. And anyway, and I thought about it and I thought, oh, you know what? That is weird because yeah, when for the first month he was here, he was a baby. He was the baby. And then I got the other puppy, and then the German Shepherd was already acting like a German Shepherd. And so I stopped babying him and I started babying the other one because I didn't think the German Shepherd wanted to be a baby. He wanted to be the top dog. And so he's the baby. And then I thought, oh, okay. And so now, whenever the dog is jealous, I pet the dog and I say, you're the baby. I tell the other dogs, hey, Wazzy's the baby. This is the baby. He's the baby. And then the dog like looks at me like, yeah, you're finally catching on. Even though he's not really a baby, but I don't know. But anyway, then I did another mind Jedi trick that you can learn. And so you lock your minds together and you and you want me to explain this now because it might anyway. So you lock your minds together, and I told the dog, go over. Now the border collie was sleeping on the end of the bed, and I locked it, and I did so you don't even have to talk. You can just communicate with your mind, okay? And when you communicate, you're like running a video. It's like watching it's like watching a movie in your mind, okay? So when you watch this movie in your mind, and so I showed him in my mind, I said, Caleb's a good boy. And I wanted him to go kiss Caleb, give Caleb now he hates Caleb. He hates the border collie. And in my mind, I was telling him, give Caleb a kiss. Give him a kiss. Give him a kiss. And he was looking at me, he's going, and he was tipping his head back and forth. Like he knew what I was, my mind was communicating to him. He did not like it. I said, come on. And in my mind, I showed him go over, walk over, give him a kiss, give him a kiss. And the German Shepherd, he didn't like it. He was making grunting noises and he didn't like it. But he got up and he walked to the end of the bed and he looked at me. I said, yeah, do it. Then he gave him a quick kiss on the rear end, actually. And then he came back to me and I said, there you go. And then after that, I just give him exercises where, can you give your brother a kiss? Give him a kiss. But you got to play things out. And it's also, you can also, if your dog is upset about you leaving to go to work or go on a trip, there's also a trick that you can, you can do this. Anybody can do this. So when I go to the store, every time I leave the house and I go to the store, they're like going crazy. I'm like, all right, chill out, everybody, chill. And then I give them I play that video in my mind of what I'm going to do. So I close my eyes and I picture the truck pulling out of the garage, going past the house, leaving, going up the road. And then a certain amount of time goes, and the truck comes back, and it comes in the driveway, and I go beep, beep, beep. And then I get out, which I always do. I beep the horn when I come home, and I get out. When I come in the house, I go, yay. And then we all celebrate and stuff. And then we go out and we get the treats and we get the stuff and we bring stuff in the house and they get their treat. And so ever since now, they know what to expect. They know I'm not going to get in the truck and go run away and go live somewhere else. Now they know. They've watched it played out. Okay. Because you can play what you play out in your mind is what they're. So if you play out a video in your mind, okay, in your mind, close your eyes like you're watching a video. When you do that with your dog can see that video. Okay. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. All right. And that's so the dog watches me leave and watches me come back, and then they're cool with it. And then guess what? When I do that, then they all like look at me. Oh, okay, that's how it's going to go. And they all go lay down. And then when I leave the house, nobody cares. It's completely different from before. And if you go for, if say if you're a traveler and when you come home, your dog is mad at you, you come home, your cat is mad at you, you can do the same thing. Show the cat in your mind, show them the reel of you leaving, sun going down, sun coming up, sun going down, sun coming up. Okay, so you do that. Say you're going to be gone 5 days, sun down, sun up. Picture it in your mind so they can see it. Sun down, sun up. Do it 5 times. That cat will not care. The dog won't care. On that fifth sunrise, that dog knows that's the day you're coming home. I'm telling you, this works. I know it's hard to believe, but it works. And that's what these dog whispers do. And that's why they won't show you because it's that easy. Okay, but no, they want you to bring your dog to the vet and get medications and spend this money on dog visits and whatever. And they don't want to tell you that, but this is doable. You can do it. And that's why when you have somebody that comes over and all of a sudden, like your dog's usually okay, but then this one person they don't like, because in that person's mind, they might be thinking something bad. They might be thinking about stealing from you, maybe about, or they might be thinking about how they're going to kick that dog in the head if it comes after them. And that dog can read your mind, and that dog can see you thinking about kicking them. Okay, so think about that. If that dog is reading your mind and you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to kick this sucker if he comes after me or whatever, that dog is reading that negative, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then they know you won't be gone forever. The cat doesn't like the cheap, yeah, yeah. I love the dog, but I think she's disability check crazy. Well, there's a reason for that. Couple reasons. If it's that crazy, it's number one is to teach you something. You're going to learn a lesson from that animal. You're going to get some wisdom from that animal. And second of all, it might just have some issues. You know what I mean? Yep. Now there's an app to communicate with our animals. You don't know if it works. That's interesting. There's like an app for everything now, man. It's just weird. Yes, you can communicate with your animals by just running a video through your mind and make sure you're focused on each other, and that dog can see those pictures in your mind. You know what I mean? There's kind of a lot to it. I know I'm not really explaining it all, but I'm just telling you that's how the dog whisperers do it, and that's why they don't want you to watch. Oh yeah, go leave for the day. Oh, and then fast forward to when you're coming home. Okay, well, what did you do? How come they never say, well, what did you do? How do you know how to do this? We want to know how to do it. Show us. Nope, they don't want to show you. Yeah. Yep, not going to be gone forever. That's right. So, all right, well, I've been on 2 hours. I should probably get off of here. I yeah. Huh. Oh, is that? Okay, so Grace put up a link to the video about, I think it's the link about how your words affect other people, how your words affect you. It's the one about the apples, yelling at the apples. It's very short. What is it? It's a short, you guys, literally a short. Is it 1 minute, 2 minutes? I don't know. It's a very short video. We have had MIA. We have had Mia for almost 3 years now. She's a tort. Oh, I love torties. She's still the size of a kitten. Her attitude as well. She's so mean to her. Yeah. Listen, there's nothing like a tortoise. There's nothing like a tortoise. You know, tortoise would bring you very good luck. They're very they'll bring you luck and blessings, but they're a handful. I love them. I love them. They're like people. Their minds are like humans. And there's nothing like a tortoise shell cat. Yeah. But yeah, she's that's ones that went missing with the two tortoise shells. I got two stray tortoise shells that are still here, but my two are missing. That's why I hurt so bad. Yeah, I just feel it is what it is. Either they're gone or they're not. If they're gone, that's fine. And if they're not, well, then they're okay, I guess. Either way, it's fine. Yeah. Well, thank you, Grace. Thanks for moderating. Yeah, I love tortoise shells. Yeah, they're special. They're supposed to bring you prosperity. Good luck. Anyway, I just want to say thanks for everybody for coming in. It's my pleasure, and I hope you learned something. Whatever I said tonight, I hope it was helpful. Now you know a little bit about what the Bible's made out of and all that good stuff. So, yeah, you know how to do mind Jedi trick. If anybody wants me to further explain it, I'll do it on another live stream. I'll show you how to do it. But you just got to lock your mind in with your dog's mind until they're like communicating. You know what I mean? Yeah, the tortoiseshells are different. They're a different breed altogether. There's nothing like a tortoiseshell cat. And yeah, she was so special. Both of them were. That's why it really hurt. Out of all these stray cats and everything, it had to be those two that went missing. It was, yeah, that sucked. Anyway, yep, they're awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, I do hope that something has been um, useful for everybody, and I hope helps your life, and I hope it is useful for people. Yeah, you too. Thank you, Miss January. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I'll probably be here next Sunday too. I'm planning on maybe being here on Sundays live for the people that work and they're gone during the week or whatever. But yeah, I'll probably be back next Sunday, Lord willing, and I will be putting out that Whittaker, the video that I'm working on about why is nobody charged with blackmail. That will be my next Whittaker video. Anyway, well, thanks for coming in, everybody. I appreciate it, each and every one of you. Love and blessings to everybody. Rock and roll.